I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, and this is the College Football Apostles, Week 9. So we're deep into the season now, and fan bases are going crazy. You got AJ McCarron blasting Alabama players. You have LenDale White going after USC. You got Mike Gundy talking about how hard it is to retain players right now. And it's just so sad. It's so hard for them. And then you got James Franklin refusing to talk about a player who is, well, multiple players who are suspended from their team. You got Kenny Dillingham having open kicker tryouts during the season after Ralph blasted him. And I'm sorry.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. And we got to talk about the quarterbacks who are going to be in the portal for this season. And that's on this episode of College Football Apostles. Make sure that you guys like, subscribe, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, get notifications. Go down there, like, subscribe, do all of that stuff right now. But Ralph, I guess we will start with Mike Gundy, because this is the point in time this season where guys are, guys that we thought we would see playing. We haven't really seen them play too much. And now we know it's because that red shirt year is going to be preserved, or they're just going to be on the way out in the transfer portal. And Mike Gundy talked about how hard it is at this point in time to retain your players. Do you feel bad for him right now?
I think if it was any coach other than Mike Gundy, I would immediately jump down their throat. But he's been at Oklahoma State forever. So you're actually talking about somebody who was an Oklahoma State quarterback, Oklahoma State coach, has been there a really long time through ups and downs. So you can't just jump to the automatic. Well, coach is all elite. You can't do that with him. So with somebody who's been around college football that long, somebody who lost 18 players to the portal after the 2022 season, you kind of want to listen to what he has to say. Here's what he said: player retention is based on money. I'll give you an example. If you're playing on our team and we go 3-9, and right now you're making $12,000, and we say, hey, if you come back, we'll pay you $250,000. What are you going to do? Player retention is probably 90% built on money right now, not other things. It's changed.
I don't believe he's
I don't know if he's
right.
complaining. It sounds like he's just telling the truth.
I don't think he's completely right. I do believe that player retention of your stars is based upon money, right? But there's a lot of kids that recognize that opportunity is more valuable than the money. Because at the end of the day, the majority of players are still under the disillusionment, and it's not wrong for them to feel like that they're going to the NFL, that the NFL is going to be my path, right? And there's a lot of them who are right, and some of them are going to be are aware enough to say, all right, I'm not going to the NFL, let me get as much money as I can right now. And then you have the kids that are like, yo, I'm going to the NFL, and this situation with this coach, with this coordinator is the right situation for me, and I'm going to stay put. Yeah, somebody else might offer me a little bit more money, but for a lot of kids, as long as the money is close and they're in a good situation already, a lot of them are willing to stay. And that's why you've seen there are certain schools that don't have a lot of kids transfer out, even when they're not buried on the depth chart, but when they are, a kid like Kenyon Sadiq at Oregon, the second tight end right now. If he weren't truly happy there, he would be in the portal, because there's going to be a lot of people that will probably offer him a lot of money this offseason. But maybe he says, "All right, cool. I'm happy in the spot I'm in right now. I'm a shine next year, have a legit chance to go to the NFL." And let's say somebody offers him $750,000, and Oregon was like, "Hey, yo, we got 625 for you. Here's the budget. Here's what Terrence Ferguson got last year. Here's what we have. What do you do in that sort of situation?"
Yeah, no, I see what you're talking about. I see what you're talking about. And I guess maybe where you could push back on Mike Gundy is also saying, like, it's changed because you're allowed. Sometimes it's not just money. If your position coach leaves and you like that position coach, like Kurt Signetti went from James Madison to Indiana, a lot of players followed him.
Yep.
They liked him. They want to go, and you can go now. Um, I was raised in Arizona. They have like regular marriage in Arizona, and they have covenant marriage, right?
What's the
So
difference?
covenant marriage is for if you go into the thing cocky, like, hey, we're never going to split up. And even if we do think about it, I want to make it harder to get divorced. So in a covenant marriage, if you get that type of marriage, you have like a 1 year cooling off period before you can actually finalize a divorce, a whole year,
Wow.
unless there's like serious exigent circumstances, right? So my bet is if you took all the people who were in covenant marriages and the people who have regular marriage certificates in Arizona, the divorce rate is lower amongst the the one that's harder to get out of.
I bet
So
because that gives you long enough time to like separate, live somewhere else, and then be like, nah, it was better the other way.
yeah, and so like when it used to be that you had to sit out a whole year, money or not, under the table or not, having punishment for leaving for players when coaches could just come and go was a big driver on people just sticking around on a roster, kind of because you had to. So I do think that money and player retention is big, and I know a lot of coaches don't promise kids coming in or even transfers anything, but they'll say in year 2 we got you.
Yep.
If you prove it, we got you. Now you have to back that up or you lose your credibility big time. But that's the same in any type of recruiting, right? So I would say that it's a big factor in keeping your players. As somebody who follows Arizona State, watching us lose Ricky Pearsall to Florida and then Elijah Badger to Florida, I know that there are some schools that have more money than we do. That just is what it is,
Yeah.
and you're not going to be able to retain unless
Yeah,
you
but
can up
how
what they
much
get.
of that? Okay, with Ricky Pearsall and with Elijah Badger, right? How much of that was situation too? Was that they knew that Arizona State or perceived that Arizona State was going to be bad last year?
Yes, I will give you more money to get the ball as a pretty great recruiting tool.
Yeah, but
I will give you
I'm
more
all,
money and you will get the ball.
yeah, and you'll be on what we believe will be a good football team. Even though
Right.
that didn't turn out to be true with Florida, but if you also believe that you're going to be in a winning situation too, sometimes that matters for players.
Yeah. But sometimes it's about the money. Shout out to
Yes,
Matthew
sometimes
Sluka.
at the end of the day, it's all when they say it's not about the money, it's always about the money. Um, all right, so we also have had players who played now blasting their universities and everything else. One of them is LenDale White over at USC. He is not happy with what is going on with Lincoln Riley. There's a Matt Leinart has recently softened his stance on USC, I believe, after rethinking, after listening to a little bit of George Wrighster and a little bit of Joel Klatt about USC, because we both share the opinion, and I think you do too, Ralph, that they're closer than it appears. That when
Yes.
you that when you lose 4 games by 14 points against tough opponents, and these are physical opponents, and you would have gotten your ass waxed last year and blown out, yes, you're moving in the right direction. And you got to be able to stand a little bit of the growing pains to be able to get to the actual winning. When the fans want microwave results, when the problem is that they got microwave results when Caleb Williams came over because he was a special college quarterback. And that situation was similar to what happened at Michigan State with Kenneth Walker, right? When Mel Tucker first got there. Kenneth Walker gone, what happened? Bottom fell out. Caleb Williams gone, the bottom didn't. Well, I mean, I guess that this is their version of the bottom falling out, but it also fell out last year with Caleb Williams. So they had to rethink everything, reimagine everything. So why Like, I don't know why anybody expected this season, because I talk to USC fans. I see one every other day in Terrell Thomas, who played there. Our daughters are friends. He coaches at my kid's school, and they all expected a 10-win season out of USC this year, and I couldn't understand why.
It could have happened, but I'll tell you what, if they run it back, same players, same coaches, and I know that doesn't happen in modern college football, and USC fans don't seem to be interested in that. I'm telling you, if you run it back with everyone, this is a 10, 11 win team next year. If they continue to progress the way that they're progressing. It's like walking into a remodel and complaining about the mess.
Exactly. They come here. Oh my God, it looks. Oh, what is all this dust around here? You got all this wood laying all over the place. What's the tile laying on the floor for? Because it's a remodel. What are you talking about?
They have to see it. They have to.
No, they don't. They don't, Ralph. I'm on their message board. They do not see it. The overwhelming majority do not see it.
Team meetings when Lincoln Riley is talking to the players, for him to be like, we're close.
But the question is, do they know what close? At what point in time do they still continue to buy the message? Because I believe that if he can keep them buying the message, this will translate over into positive things next season. If you see blowouts, if they, number one, lose to UCLA or get blown out by like Notre Dame and then lose to UCLA, this whole season was wasted. You would have all the good work that got done would have been just thrown in the trash, and you're going to be sorry again next year.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm looking at Oklahoma right now. I'm looking at Oklahoma, and I'm like, maybe they're a quarterback away, or maybe they're toast. We don't know, but we do know that they weren't ready for this transition to the SEC. It's pretty clear.
I don't think they were ready for the Big 12 this year, let alone the SEC.
Yeah, but they score in the Big 12. But you look at USC, and you look at where they were last year when they weren't ready to be in the Pac-12, and I can genuinely say, like, oh, they can play a little bit of Big Ten football. They had 5 explosive plays against Penn State's defense.
Yeah,
they had 5 plays go for 191 yards against a team that averages 2 yards per rush defensively. Like, they are close. It's just not yet. And we have professionalized college football, so you can look at things on an arc. You can. I know they don't love being 5-9 over his last 14.
Yeah,
I would hate that too. But George, are they going to be more talented next year than they are this year?
Yes.
And is this defense working with DeAnton Lynn if he's still there? And the bottom falling out might keep him around, which could be a good thing for them.
Ooh.
You know, I don't know. It feels weird to be encouraged about a team that just blew it against Maryland and lost at Minnesota. But we remember what USC had been under, that Clay Helton. They were 8-4 in his last 12, and they looked terrible.
Yep, 100%. Yes,
they look better than this year's USC team would murder last year's USC team.
Facts. Now on to Alabama, because AJ McCarron is not feeling what he's watching on television. He's not feeling what's going on with them. And truthfully, with him, I do not blame him. I think this is a totally different situation. I think Kalen DeBoer missed the mark with the Malachi Moore thing. There was no obvious punishment that happened. And with players they're like our kids. They will whether you're a pro player, college, high school, whatever, they will consistently push the limits until they know where the line is. And if they step over the line, there's no consequence. And then everybody else sees it. And all you had to do was be like, oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. Then everybody else is going to say, oh, okay, well, all right, I'll do it. And then, oh, hey, coach, I'm sorry, I messed up. Oh, it's fine, Johnny. Then that line keeps getting further and further. And then when you try to draw a hard line, everybody's like, whoa, 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 why you ain't do Malachi like that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had their wide receiver, their 5-star wide receiver, Odom, retweeting tweets about why you not throwing me the football. And then you got him shooting jump shots on quarterback sneaks. That ain't it, fam. None of that is it. That's the jump shots on on the quarterback sneak. That's something that we would have seen out of Florida State's Willie Taggart team.
Dude,
That's not
were
it.
you ever in school? Were you ever in school and your hardest teacher doesn't show up that day, and
Yes.
they got a substitute, and that everybody turns to that one kid in class, and then
Just
that
to
kid
see
shoots a
if
spitball.
yeah, if he's if that kid is either gonna be like, all right, cool, we chilling today, or if the kid's like, here comes the chaos.
Yeah, and if the teacher doesn't care, everybody gets their phones out.
Yep.
That's what sets the tone, right? When I was a teacher for 3 years, and they always said like your most strict time as a teacher needs to be week one, like syllabus week.
Yeah.
You want to be that substitute that comes in and you're like, I'm retired military. Yes, I saw the battlefield. No, I'm not going to tell you if I killed anyone or not. But if you do want to talk about what the inside of a man looks like, I can be pretty descriptive. Like,
He was like, whoa,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
teach
you got to come
teach
in with
about
an
that action.
yeah, you got to come in with an energy that gets people back on their heels. And that's we're learning more about Nick Saban in the years after he's gone than I think we did in the time that he was there, about how hard it is to just keep that death grip on a program, keep people with the fear of God in them. Right?
Yep.
That's tough. That's tough. And Kalen DeBoer, this is going to be, without turning over the roster, it's going to be very difficult to get everybody back.
And it's funny because I actually heard something prior to the season. Because remember when we put out the list of the teams that would have the most wins over the next 5 years, people were surprised at how low Alabama was. And then they start out the season, ha ha, what are you talking about? You look stupid. Well, here's the thing: is I believe that Kalen DeBoer's year 2 is going to be harder than year 1 because it's going to be starting to recruit his own players. He's actually going to lose some players in the portal this year, I do believe. Some pretty good players that are going to go to other teams because and not because he's a bad coach. It's just because they signed up for it and they were like, I want the Saban treatment. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
want somebody that's going to be on my ass constantly because I need that. And there are some players that realize I need one thing and I need another thing. Now he needs to get players that fit the Kalen DeBoer style because the
Yes.
Saban players doing it your way, that ain't gonna work. So he's got to
Yeah.
get players in to establish his culture and players who are going to be able to follow the rules without the rule of law.
Right. And you're bringing in the best in the country and you're trying to put them through the pressure cooker that will make them pros. That's what you have to do.
Yep.
And so I wish him the best of luck, but as you've often pointed out when he was at Washington, he's never had to be a proven recruiter.
No.
So you better hope the laundry recruits itself or that he elevates his game in that area, because where he sets himself apart is the X's and O's. But in the SEC, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it really is just Jimmy's and Joe's. And you go up
Yeah.
against teams that have 9 5-stars on an 11-person side of the ball.
See, I think the hardest part, well, the biggest adjustment for Kalen DeBoer is going to be the fact that he's always been beloved everywhere. He was
Mm.
beloved at Sioux Falls, beloved at Fresno State. They loved him at Washington. Instant, instant grits types of results there because he's a really good coach. But at Bama, there was no rebuild. There was like they were in the college football playoff last year. So the expectation is different. And this is the first time that he's ever been under this level of scrutiny where people aren't like, Kalen, you're doing a great job. You're fantastic. You're excellent. You're doing all the right things. We want you here forever.
Yeah.
He ain't hearing none of that right now. He heard it after the Georgia game, and then it all went away. I'm just saying. Now you got James Franklin. He has refused to talk about two players who are suspended from the team. They have rape charges against them and other things as well. Is James Franklin out of pocket for not wanting or addressing these things at all? Because the media tried to ask him questions. Their representative said that the school put out a statement, address any questions to the SID or to the athletic department, but they've already put out a statement. And Coach James Franklin will not be addressing
it. So this is the ultimate, like, what did you think would happen off, right? Like James Franklin gets asked a question by the media and he looks surprised. And it's like, James, what did you think would happen?
Yes, exactly.
And then he doesn't answer it, and the media's
because
like,
they would be.
What? And it's like, media, what did you think would happen?
They should be fired if they refuse to even ask him the question.
Right. Right. So it is what it is. Like it's when an officer walks up to a car that's been swerving and they knock on the window and they say, "You've been drinking tonight?"
Why would you ask me that?
Yeah, but like, you expect the driver to be like, "Yes."
Well,
but do you expect the cop to not ask the question? Yeah,
yes, like, exactly. Only the really drunk one.
Yeah, so they have to ask. All you have to say in that situation is like, we've issued a statement on advice of legal counsel and not having all the information left. We support any and all victims, and as stuff comes out about this, perhaps we'll be able to address it in the future. We can't address it right now. What I can tell you is they're not on our team. They did not meet the standard of our team. And hopefully a day comes when we can have a more open conversation about this. But for anybody who is a victim of anything like this, if our hearts go out to you.
End of story. There's nothing else to ask after that point. They will stop asking. But the fact that you ignore it, that's only going to make investigative reporters dig deeper. And
yeah,
you don't want them
digging deeper. Let's bring in Luther, the anger translator, to answer the question, what do you think about those rapes? Like, why do you... He's getting killed for stepping back like that. And it's just like, come on, James.
Exactly.
But neither one of them is going to get anything out of that situation. They issued a statement. The media has to ask, but like, will you think the coach is going to answer? Mm-hmm. No, you just have to ask. And so yes. I don't know. I'm not mad at James Franklin. It's just not a good look.
Yeah, I'm not mad at him for not answering. He should have just gave that obligatory non-answer that you just gave. That's it. And then there's nothing else to ask about it. Because everybody already sees that you gave them that BS answer. So, okay, so now we know we can move on. All right. I need a straight up answer out of you, Ralph.
Okay.
What is going on with the Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State kicker situation? Because they held open tryouts. He went in the media and was like, basically, what it sounded like to me, because there's a difference in what somebody said and how people receive it. When he made the comments about that they have to kick better, we got to figure out our kicking game. What that sounded like to me was, our kickers suck. We are holding open tryouts because these dudes are horrible. They lost us the game, so we'll see if there's anybody else that we can find to do better.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate this whole thing.
I mean, so during the game, that's what it sounded like.
Yeah. You know how coaches talk to each other.
Yes.
I'll never forget being a freshman in high school, and there's a vent in the door of the coach's office, and the drinking fountain is right outside the coach's office door.
Oh,
so
Lord.
I'm there, and I'm taking a real long drink because I can hear the coaches talking about the players.
Okay.
And these coaches, like, they're so nice and inspirational and motivational. And they hold you to account and they push you, but they don't like it's very much for your betterment. And they're good men. And I have a lot of them for teachers. And, I'm listening to them sitting around in this room. And I remember one of them says, I'm going to have to name drop a dude, and hopefully he never, ever hears this. But I remember being a freshman, I'll never forget this. And they're going around talking about the players, and one of the coaches, the special teams coach, goes, "What about Richard Mansfield?" And one of the other coaches is like, "Mansfield sucks." And then they all start laughing.
Oh my God.
They all
See,
start laughing. And I was like at the drinking fountain, and I just kind of like slowly backed away because I don't want to hear what they said about me. Uh, and so it was one of those things where you realize like coaches talk a different way behind closed door. They're a little more honest, you know.
and we found
And
that
so,
out with the Giants Hard Knocks this year.
yeah, yes, yes. And so, I, the kicking game has not been good. It's not a surprise that they want the kicking game to be better. Everybody wants their kicking game to be better. When he sat down and he blew up their whole kicking room, and Arizona State's weird because they have somebody for kickoffs, somebody for extra points, and somebody for field goals. 3 different players, right?
Oh,
And a punter who's also not playing well. And so he was like, "We're holding open tryout." It was the type of stuff that I would expect the coaches in the room together to be like, "Mansfield sucks." Like that's, but
yeah,
not, and he was emotional, he was frustrated. It certainly wasn't something that happened in the 56th minute of the game that lost a 48-yard field goal from a college kicker in the
yeah.
56th minute is not what lost you this game. But it's what he was frustrated about, it's what was on his mind. At the time, I had tweeted out a receipt for a Sun Angel Club NIL donation, and I just wrote "new kicker," and I posted it, and I thought it was funny. And then when I saw what Kenny Dillingham said, I was like, "Oh no, like this is going to become an all-time pylon
Ooh,
on one dude."
yep.
So I deleted my tweet, and then Kenny Dillingham apologized, and then he reached out to me on the side, and he's like, "Hey, like I didn't mean for," and I thought I was like, "Oh, I deleted my tweet because I felt like I was piling on. Like it's
Yeah.
enough when the head coach does it." But yeah, so I think he thought that I was criticizing him.
Mm-mm.
It was an emotional thing to do. He apologized. They did hold a tryout. What's crazy is I host these Sun Devil Spaces every Wednesday night. There's a kid named Nolan Krinsky who's in there all the time, and going back well over a year, he's talked about his failed attempts to walk on.
So
And
did
so
Nolan Krinsky make the team?
he tried out yesterday. I don't know if he made the team yet or not. But he's an aviation student at ASU, and he's been trying to get on the team forever. He's actually a pretty good kicker.
His whole
But
life will be accomplished if he gets on this team, right?
I mean, kinda. He's also like he's a pilot. He's going to have a decent life regardless. But he wasn't able to go play college football because there's not a lot of schools that have aviation schools that needed a kicker.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
he's kind of in this situation where he picked an aviation school and they didn't need a kicker. Well, now they
dude,
might. So I
this
hope
is
it works out for him.
I do too, dude. I hope this turns into one of them Disney movies where like he ends up kicking the ball, then he goes to the NFL, and then he has to give up being a pilot because he's an NFL kicker, and then he goes to go be a pilot after, and we get a chance to see this cool story.
Yeah, I want to know someday that like after his days as a Sun Devil that he's the one doing the stadium flyover. Like that
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 would
type of
be
stuff would be
dope.
super cool. But
All right.
I
Next thing up. Washington State and Oregon State revealed their schedules for next year. And everybody was like, oh, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, you do a double take. And you're like, wait, what? You see something that you have never, I don't ever remember seeing this. They're playing each other twice in a season. Now, part of me believes that this is just potentially a placeholder for an eighth team that may be joining, but joining the Pac 12 because they still need one more team to be able to field an entire conference. And next year is the last year that they have to be able to do it. So it was kind of comedy hour at their expense over that. Is that okay to laugh at them?
uh I don't know. I don't think it's funny. They were kind of forced into it, but what I'm wondering is if this George to you all the NIL stuff that has made college football feel more like pro football is all stuff I wanted to happen, and so I'm not mad about it. This definitely makes it feel more like the NFL.
Yes, because it's like a division. You got a home and a home.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you would you like to see more people do this? I don't know.
I mean, if it's going to be like Georgia and Bama, then Bama and Georgia, or if we're going to have Oregon, Ohio State, then Ohio State, Oregon. I mean, of course, that sounds cool, but that would actually lead us to something that actually would benefit college football, which is not scheduling 10 years in advance and making
True.
schedules that actually work. And that's why I'm hoping that the Big Ten, SEC, where they're talking about the scheduling matchup, if they do that every year and pit good opponents against each other, Lord have mercy for all of college football glory. And we will be excited about it. But the next thing that we have to talk about, and this one is a big one, because this one is the players that could be hitting the transfer portal this offseason, the quarterbacks in particular, because the past 2 years we've seen a bunch of quarterbacks hit the transfer portal, getting big money, but now those guys are aging out of college football. So now the younger guys actually have to play. And now that the younger guys are playing, where will they end up? And who will transfer out of their good circumstance right now to go to greener pastures? And that either means situation or greener or pastures with boatloads of green money in it. So we have a list of players and that we believe could be in the transfer portal after this season. Floor is yours, Short. Uh, Floor is yours, Ralph.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
talking in third person right now.
I wouldn't mind being George Wrighster right now. I don't like this winter weather that's coming my way.
Oof.
I'd love to be out
Mm-mm.
on the best coast.
Yeah, I'm still in shorts, man.
So so I'm gonna give you a name. You tell me the likelihood that you think that they'll hit the portal.
All right.
So first, we'll start with a with an easy one. Washington State's John Mateer.
100%.
One hundred
100%.
percent.
He will be in the transfer portal next year. Actually, no, 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 no. I'll give it a 99.8% because there's a 0.2% chance that Washington State's going to be able to come up with enough money to keep him. He's a kid who is going to be highly sought after because there are so few quarterbacks available. And he can throw it, he can run it, he's tough. He's like an upgraded version of Diego Pavia over at Vanderbilt. And
He,
he's going to get millions this offseason. He may be the $3 million quarterback that Michigan's looking for.
so he's from north of the Dallas Fort Worth area. Do you think that'll be one of the things that factors into him being like, I'm an Oklahoma Sooner because I wanted to play in front of friends and family?
Hey, baby, that might be it because Oklahoma's definitely going to be in the transfer portal market for a quarterback next year.
Okay.
Yes,
New Mexico's Devin Dampier. He's kind of like a poor man's John Mateer, I guess. Maybe
I'm
more
going to
more of a
go
runner,
with.
less of a thrower.
Oh, I'm gonna go with 99% too,
Okay.
and the 1% is just. Actually, I'm going 100%. There's no chance he's still there. He has been balling this year. Somebody's gonna want him. And somebody is going to want to pay him at least $500,000, $750,000, and that's going to be impossible to turn down. But between the NIL money from the school and the marketing opportunities of being at a P4 program are going to be too much.
He's a really specific type of quarterback. Like not everybody's going to be able to make
No,
use of him. Um, but yeah, he's had a very good dual threat season. All right, here's one of my favorite quarterbacks in all of college football right now.
okay,
I think he's a like certified pro. Um, Prototypical pocket guy, good leadership, big arm, doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and that is Cincinnati's Brendan Sorsby.
okay,
6'3", 230, originally from Denton, Texas, committed to Cincinnati, coming off their run to the college football playoff.
Mm. All right. I'm going to go with 65%.
Okay.
And that 35%, yes, there's a little bit of a money factor, but I do believe that he's probably one of those kids that's like, I want to win. And if we're not going to be able to win here at Cincinnati, then I'm going to move elsewhere. That's what I think is going to be the biggest difference and the differentiator for him.
Okay, so then we got to go next. We got to go with a player that is just a lights out passer. Somehow still has eligibility left. He's going to be one of the last quarterbacks to have a COVID year and a redshirt year, and that is fifth year junior Chandler Morris from North Texas, who
Ooh,
currently this season has 23 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on 64% passing. He is a gunslinger.
yes. Somebody going to want that. Somebody's air raid offense is going to want that, or somebody that runs a, more of a traditional style offense that's just like we can we can reel him in a little bit, but he's going to be able to make special plays for us too. He's at North Texas. I'm
It's
going
his
to get
third school. North
oh it's
Texas
his
is his third school.
oh so
He
so
started
he ain't
off in
got
Oklahoma, spent
he ain't got
3
no
years
problem with
here.
transferring. He ain't got no
Yeah,
problem with transferring. So, but as long as he's guaranteed the start, he will move again because he's like, listen, I done moved 2 times already. This time is for the money. So, but because he's moved 3 times, he may say, I finally got a good situation here. I'm not moving because like I don't want to do it again. So it's either one of those two things. And so I'm going to give him a 50-50 shot.
okay. Time to get controversial. The next few.
Okay.
Eli Holstein at Pitt.
Ooh. So
Please be
this would
nice
be
because
his
Pitt
third
fans in
school.
my
It,
mentions. Pitt fans are always in my mentions anyway because they've been mad about Todd Graham for 13 years and won't let it go. So please don't say anything that would upset them even more.
okay. So Ralph is the one who brought up Eli Holstein and said that he believes that Eli Holstein will transfer. No, I'm
I did
joking.
not.
I'm gonna go with 60-40 stays.
Okay.
Now, because he's winning at Pitt, right? What are they, 6-0 or 7-0 right now?
Yeah, Jordan Addison was winning at Pitt too.
Hey man, that almighty dollar talks. And see for him, he's playing so well that if he can go to a potential national championship type situation, he may be the quarterback to do that. Now, a place that I could see him going, I won't even name the place yet because I do believe that you're going to name this kid. So I'm going to hold off on the place where I think he actually, no, yes. I'm going to hold off on the place
Okay.
simply because I do believe that you're going to name this kid.
Okay. Well, if I'm University of Pittsburgh, I have Dan Marino on the phone with this kid every single day, talking about being the next Dan
You
Marino.
better have a money manager on the phone with him.
All right. The next one is Miller Moss at USC.
That's where he might be going, baby. They might just swap quarterbacks. Literally.
They do a straight up trade.
Straight up trade. Because Eli Holstein's a better athlete than people give him credit for. Now, I remember I saw him at the Elite 11 out in Los Angeles. No, out in Vegas competing. And I think he had the highest spark score because your boy Chili was like, he's going to have the highest spark score ever. And he was close to right. So, yeah. So it
If they
was,
trade quarterback, because Pitt has already taken a USC guy in Keaton Slovis, I think, and USC has already stolen a pretty good Pitt player in Jordan Addison. So I imagine there'd be some emotions involved. All right, let's turn up the heat even more. Jalen Milroe.
oof. I'm going to go with,
Do you think Jalen Milroe is going to the NFL?
not after this year, no. That wouldn't, I mean, it just wouldn't be a wise move.
Here's a
Because
here's a controversial question. Do you think it's Anthony Richardson's fault that Jalen Milroe will not go to the NFL this year?
no, it is Jalen Milroe and their coach's fault because he's not played particularly well of late. He doesn't look like he's seeing the field clearly. He doesn't look like he's ready to go to the NFL. But but Anthony Richardson may be the reason why he for sure would not be a first round pick. That may be the reason. But I mean, he's also because Anthony Richardson hadn't played a lot of football games.
I think Josh Allen is the reason Anthony Richardson was such a high draft pick. And I think that Anthony Richardson is the reason that the next like physical freak will not be.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the next physical freak who hasn't played a lot of football, for sure.
And then, all right, I'll give you my two that I think will probably be in the portal.
I didn't give you the percentage. I think 70-30 he stays. Actually, no, 65-35 he stays.
Okay. That's pretty good odds. I'm sure Alabama fans would. I mean, this last game was rough, but he kind of was carrying them before that. I'll give you my two that I think will end up in the portal. I think everybody will be all over. Darian Mensah out of Tulane. Fantastic quarterback. Beat out my guy, Ty Thompson, and has that offense rolling. And the other one is Alonzo Barrett at JMU. I could totally see him jumping over to Indiana to to continue the JMU to Indiana pipeline.
Hey, that might be it. And you guys, that is the College Football Apostles today. You guys make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. Peace out. We will catch you guys next week.